Gentlemen, and thank you to the Times Network for having me speak at the India Economic Conclave, being held in this magnificent venue, which has been restored to wondrous quality and is an indication not just of India's nature to welcome, but also of India's arrival on the global stage. I'm going to restrict my talk to where I see India, why I see India where I see it, and what is the role that India, Indians, and Indianness is going to play at the global high table. Never in the history of India has India across the world been treated with greater respect, with greater reverence, and most importantly, with greater relevance. Brands are all about that. Brands are about respect, they're about reverence, and they're about relevance. And today, I'm proud to be an Indian because my country, the country which I belong to, the country which gave me birth, is today amongst the world's most relevant economies, the most relevant cultures. And I've always said that India is not a nation alone. It is not even a republic alone. It is a civilizational legacy. We taught the world Daan long before Warren Buffett and Bill Gates did. When in Manu Smriti, Manu talks about Daan. Somewhere down the line, we were embarrassed of our civilizational legacy, or we didn't understand the importance of that remarkable legacy that we've inherited. Look around you, ladies and gentlemen. We are living in the most exciting times in the world today. We are not only a functioning democracy, we are a throbbing democracy. For all the people who bemoan the demise of the EVM, you still have opposition parties winning state elections. No one throws away an election. Democracy is alive, democracy is kicking. And what's happened is the Indian today has never been more confident of him or herself, of his or her country, and his or her contribution to the world ever before. Today, India is the home to the world's largest number of unicorns. We have moved away from the matrimonial pages which wanted IAS and IPS and doctors and lawyers to people who are genuine entrepreneurs. Even Churchill will be turning in his grave because we are no longer a nation of shopkeepers. We are a nation which allows the world to breathe innovation. We're a nation which allows the world to experience the relevance of India's civilizational legacy. And we are a nation which is contributing to the global high table, be it in economics or in diplomacy. How have we arrived at this? We have arrived at this because of the dint of hard work. Indians have always been hardworking, and by and large, Indians have always been ethical because we have a moral compass that is not embedded in our souls, it is embedded in our parenting. The values that your parents instill in you are the values that are timeless, they are immeasurable. And that is what we are seeing today. The respect that the young have for the elders, that people have for people who are proficient, that people have for people who have achieved, continues to be the guiding force. And the world, ladies and gentlemen, is coming apart. The world is coming apart because people are seeking national identity. No one wants to buy a brand that is scary, fearful, or unwilling to impart benefits. The reason India is different is because in India there is nothing to fear except fear itself. In India, because of our Indianness, there is a moral compass that has outlived the annals of relevant time. Because of our Indianness, there is an ethicality. And we can sift the wheat from the chaff and still determine a path of great appreciation. I'm not a political person at all. I, by the way, hate all political parties, but I'm deeply proud of my Prime Minister. And I'm proud of my Prime Minister because he's making things happen. If the opposition leaders made things happen, I'd be proud of them too. I'm proud of every political leader who's making things happen. And we've got to get away from this constant belief that, oh, are we good enough? I'm not being arrogant when I say this on behalf of 140 million people, but I can tell you today that India has every right to be confident. India has every right to succeed. And brand India today is the most relevant, rewarding brand that exists in the comity of nations. And that's what we've got to appreciate. We've got to change the imprint of our education, which is why these conclaves are important. Which is why I'm delighted that the Times Network takes the time out to infuse not just confidence, but a sense of realism and a sense of context. So let's look at the context for a change. Who are we pitted against? Narendra Modi has said we'll be the world's third largest economy. And we will. Not because Modi has said it, but because every Indian believes that the Prime Minister will do his bit, political leadership will do their bit, the bureaucracy will do their bit, but the most important trudging of the coals will be done by every Indian. This country is not made by one Narendra Modi. This country is made by 140 million people who believe in the idea of India, who believe that India will make things happen, and who believe in the concept of Indianness overriding any sectarian divisive issues that we may have. Let's take a look at the global economies in the world today. Look at America. America is a cauldron of hate. For good, bad, worse, it's not our business to get there. Look at what's happening in Europe. Europe is disintegrating. I came back from London yesterday. See what's happening to England. England is disintegrating. It is not disintegrating only economically. It's disintegrating from a confidence point of view. You know, earlier I used to joke and I used to use this phrase that India is like the bumblebee. Aerodynamically, the bumblebee is not supposed to fly, but the bumblebee doesn't know that. It flies happily. There have been many people who from the annals of time have always said, oh, India has so many problems. How will India succeed? We have succeeded. We have succeeded in a democracy with acute diversity. We have succeeded in a nation which has more languages than humankind knows. We have succeeded in becoming a country that respects democracy and that respects the rule of law. We have become a country where the young and the old, the infirm and the healthy coexist in a manner of great respect for each other and for what we are. And that, to my mind, is the important thing. So when you talk about, will India be a bankable brand? India will be the world's finest bankable brand. Because ultimately, bankable brands are not about what they bring to the party. It's about the value they add to the nation that they come from and to the world that they are part of. And in both respects, personally, I'm delighted. You know, I have a 5-year-old child, Gayatri, and when I look at her and I look back and I say to myself, what a brilliant time to be growing up in India. When you are surrounded by people who are finally confident, when they're not enslaved to one thought, to one ideology, but because of communication, because of media, because of the implosion of social sciences, they can actually choose. Today, my country has given me the choice to work, to live, and that is a choice that very few countries today offer because of various reasons. Today, my India allows me to say what I can and do what I can within the purview of the law, because that's the essence of freedom. Freedom is not defined by terms like democracy and, socialism and all that stuff. The ultimate freedom is what Tagore talked about. It's the freedom of the mind. And today, whether it's the Prime Minister, whether it's chief ministers, whether it's teachers, whether it's media people, they have allowed the average Indian to think. They have made the Indian unfettered. We are no longer chained to some slavish mentality that we had inherited. And that, to my mind, is the biggest benefit of this brand. I'm 61, may have 10, 15 years to live. But let me tell you, in those 10, 15 years, this country will be unrecognizable. Will we be economically powerful? Yes. Will we be a great nation of talented people who are actually conquering the world? The answer is yes. But what we will also remain is a rooted nation. We will remain rooted to our values. We will remain rooted to our civilizational legacy. And above all, we will remain rooted to the idea of India. And the idea of India is timeless. Indianness is timeless. What we have inherited is timeless. And I believe that when you look around nations, many of them are recent. America's a recent country. So I'm not looking at India in the context of, oh, what will our GDP be? What will this be? What will that be? No. I want our happiness index to increase year after year. I want that person who is in Bulandshahr to know that he can compete with a person in Bombay because the opportunities have been made available. And let me tell you, every country has poverty. But the worst kind of impoverishment is when you deny opportunities. And my India has changed. Today we have the opportunities, we have the wherewithal, we have the courage, we have the confidence, and most importantly, we have the desire to succeed. And you cannot stop an idea when its time has come. And today, it's ironic, and there's no pun intended, we are in times of India where the idea of India is going to be unstoppable. And I'm grateful and I'm delighted that we have so many people here in this hall. We have millions outside who have the same belief, the same sense of purpose, and the same sense of giving back. Because that's what we will be proud of. That's what your children, your grandchildren will be proud of. And that's what my late parents would be proud of in heaven. That we are contributing to nation building. We are contributing to the idea of India. And we are contributing to continuing to make India the world's finest, most relevant, revered, and respected brand. And I've just been told my time's up. Thank you so much.